I never thought the thing that would bring me to my knees wasn't a crash or a gunshot or a drunk swinging fists, but the sting of a taser fired at me while a woman lay dying less than 100 feet away behind a locked gate. Evelyn Hart was gone by 6:53 that morning. We had reached the gate at 6:43. 10 minutes stolen by a rule, a checklist, a uniform with no mercy. It was just past sunrise in Florida, the kind of soft pink light that makes even a gas station look almost romantic. My partner Louise was driving both of us calm because this was routine cardiac arrest, older female history of heart disease. We'd run this call 100 times. I was already rehearsing compressions in my head as the siren hummed low. But when we rolled up to Maple Ridge Preserve, the gate didn't swing open. It blinked. And standing behind the keypad was a man built like a wall in a fake green uniform with a name tag that read, Mercer. Security stitched over his chest like it was scripture. I dropped my window, shoved my badge up close enough he could read the expiration date. EMS unit, Scene cardiac arrest. Open the gate. He didn't move. Just stared like I was some solicitor trying to sell him siding. "Do you have an access code, ma'am?" he asked, every syllable sharpened. We had a dying patient, seconds bleeding out. Louise was on the radio calling management numbers that just rang and rang. I stepped out, boots on their perfect decorative gravel. "Sir, you are obstructing an emergency responder. That's a felony. Move aside." His hand slid to the taser on his belt, resting there like it was a pet. "No clearance, no entry," he said, calm, certain, like he'd practiced it in a mirror. I pointed to the ambulance, the siren, the red cross as big as a beach towel. Then the world snapped. White pain lightning ripping through my ribs. The ground tilted, my body convulsed. Electricity steals your voice before anything else leaves you silent, choking. And in that silence I heard it, a faint moan on the other side of the gate. Evelyn fighting for her last breaths while I lay on manicured grass like some intruder. She died before we ever touched her. And I carried that sound, the zap, her gasp, like scars under my skin. Later, when the coroner told her husband Paul the exact minute of her death, it felt like he was setting a clock to mark how long I'd failed. I wrote my incident report with a bag of ice on my shoulder, my handwriting trembling, and I hated myself. Hated that I let a gate, a guard, a damn policy stand taller than my oath to save lives. 2 days later I stood in Paul's doorway. His house was a museum of grief, lipstick on a teacup, crossword half-finished, glasses folded neatly on a cookbook. He opened the door like he was opening a vault to the last warm air in his home. He didn't try to be polite. He just asked, "Where were you?" And all I could say was, "Right there." When I admitted Mercer had tasered me, he didn't flinch, but when I said the word gate, he crumbled. "I had a key fob for 15 years, he whispered. "The one day it mattered, I could have thrown it like a stone. Maybe reached you faster." That broke me. I started to wonder, was I the weak link? Should I have rammed the gate, shoved past Mercer harder? For a moment I thought about quitting, turning in my badge, just walking away from this job that asks you to be both steel and sponge. Maybe I wasn't cut out for the fight. Then came Ava Kim. A lawyer, no jazz hands TV style, just crisp papers and a calm fire. She laid out HOA newsletters, security manuals, and there it was, page 12, subsection C. Guards are authorized to apply non-lethal deterrence when verbal escalation fails. It was right there in black and white. Mercer hadn't snapped. He'd followed orders. The signature at the bottom, Philip Drake, HOA President. Suddenly it wasn't just one guard, it was an entire board that valued perimeters over pulses. This wasn't an accident, it was design. Paul's grief hardened into something else. He didn't want a check, he wanted accountability. He wanted the people who voted for zero tolerance to feel the cost. And slowly the neighborhood began to stir. Flyers appeared on mailboxes, justice for Evelyn. Reform the board. A retired Marine signed the petition with a shaking hand. A widow whispered her support. Momentum trickled, then gathered. And with it came the backlash. An envelope landed at my station typed, "Neat threatening. Stay out of it. Drop the statement, or next time it won't be a taser. I'd faced Knives Drunk's rage, but that one froze my blood. Still, Ava told me, they're rattled. And I realized fear was exactly what they wanted me to feel. I chose anger instead. The lawsuit hit like a storm. Wrongful death, negligence, obstruction. Exhibits stacked, high emails where Drake wrote no exceptions, meeting minutes where someone asked, "What if it's an ambulance?" And Drake coolly replied, "They can coordinate with our command post." Except no emergency crew had ever been given that number. The very idea made me sick. Evelyn didn't die because of bad luck. She died because arrogance wrote policy with a pen. The courtroom was colder than any ambulance bay. When I took the stand, they carved my story into sterile pieces. What did you see? What did you do? Did you raise your voice? Threaten the guard? Sir, I was standing still. When they asked how the taser felt, I said it was like every nerve being convinced by a stranger. For 30 seconds, I didn't belong to myself. A juror wiped her eye. Louise testified about the phone lines that rang unanswered. A neighbor's doorbell cam played my body crumpling to the grass. Silence thicker than tar filled the room. Then Mercer sat in the witness chair. His suit didn't fit, hands trembling around a paper cup. He repeated protocol like a chant. Unverified entry attempts. Deterrence options. Finally, he admitted, she didn't have a code. The prosecutor asked quietly, "Did you see her uniform? The ambulance?" "Yes. So why did you fire?" Mercer blinked, small voice. "I was following orders." Those 4 words landed heavy. History knows their weight, and the jury felt it too. Ava didn't waste a second. She rolled the HOA's own manual to the front, page 12, projected large, the taser authorization glowing like a brand. She showed Drake's emails, "Harden our perimeter," written after nothing more than a DoorDash kid ringing the wrong bell. She read aloud the minutes where board members asked, "What if it's an ambulance?" and Drake dismissed it like it was trivia. She didn't need to shout. The documents screamed on their own. The verdict came steady in favor of the plaintiff. The HOA liable for wrongful death, their security policies negligent and obstructive. Damages high enough to bleach the faces of homeowners and make the insurance reps scribble like math could resurrect Evelyn. Philip Drake didn't look up. He stared at the defense table like maybe the wood grain could open and swallow him. Within days he was voted out. His house sold fast, his exit an open wound. And that's where the story ends. Not with a celebration, not with champagne or balloons, but with a fall. The mighty HOA president, who thought a gate and a binder meant more than a human heartbeat, was stripped of power, his name spat out like sour milk. The community rewrote its first rule in bold. No emergency responder shall ever be delayed, questioned, or blocked, ever again. Rules can guard us, but when they choke compassion, they turn into weapons. And that's the lesson: never let a policy matter more than a pulse.